Hey there everyone, Dewan Hayes here with Noise. I'm here with Stephen Abraham, the resident commissioner of the Omaha Housing Authority, and we wanted to get together to talk about the principles of housing and get into details about the recent Choice Neighborhoods Initiative and HUD dollars that are going towards Spencer Home projects and kind of what he's up to. So I'm going to have him introduce himself and then we can get in the conversation.
Yeah, like it was mentioned before, I'm one of the commissioners for Omaha Housing Authority. I'm the resident commissioner for Omaha Housing Authority. A lot of people don't know what the resident commissioner's role is within the board, and so I'm going to give you a little bit of the background so that we can talk about the understanding of the Housing Choice Voucher Award that was just recently awarded to the city of Omaha. So as a resident commissioner, back in 1929 when HUD and Section 8 was establishing public housing, they made a rule that stated that there has to be someone on the board that is a resident or a recipient of the services that the Housing Authority provides. So fast forward to 2019, you're looking at the resident commissioner for the city of Omaha. As you know, there has been an award that is going to help a lot of people become productive, positive citizens within our community. And I'm looking forward to being a valuable part of that. My input, being a resident, understanding the trials and tribulations that came with living in public housing was very valuable in establishing this award. So, you know, I'd like to answer a couple questions that have been going on social media, word of mouth, about the things that's going to take place during this development process.
So, I mean, one of the very first things that we saw, so $25 million, that is a lot of money.
Yes.
As I have seen, that money is to be leveraged for more, is that correct?
Yes, so the initial award is for $25 million. That's a great deal of money to be allocated to the redevelopment of an area anywhere in the United States. Omaha is very thankful and we're proud that we received that money. The $25 million will be used as a leverage to get other funds that's necessary for the complete redevelopment of Omaha Housing Authority properties. This is unheard of. This is unprecedented. So we want to make sure that we do this right and correct so that we are able to provide the right services and house individuals accordingly. There's many partners that's going to take place within this. Healthcare providers, local community groups, and advocates and philanthropists that are willing to address the issues that are facing here, specifically in North Omaha.
So, is there, that's also come up, there's a lot of, foundations to poverty that ought to be addressed. You can't, it's one thing to house, but it's another thing to make sure you have healthcare, yes, education, access to upward mobility and employment, those types of things. And yes, are those factors being considered with the development of this particular plan?
Yeah, so as you know, there's this is public records. So now the public can actually go in and see what the Housing Choice Voucher Award for the Choice Neighborhood Awards, sorry about that, misspoke. You can actually go see this, it's public records. So just to list a couple things. We know that there's an issue with job creation. There's an issue with education in regards to a lot of individuals that we serve. They may not have the right education or skills to become successful. We're working with local entities like Metro Community College, local job, Nebraska Workforce, to get individuals started and motivated to becoming positive, productive citizens in the community. You know, one of the things that goes along with home ownership is health and employment. And those things are very important to me and to my fellow commissioners. So I want to let you know that we are making sure that we make the right decisions for the population that we serve.
So, and that's great to hear that there's an awareness that this is a comprehensive approach, that housing then it's very difficult to take care of the place that you're in. With that, the current residents of the Spencer homes, can you kind of give us a timeline as well as what will happen to people that currently live there, and what's the plan for this redevelopment?
Well, May 15th and the 16th, there will be an event that's going to be taking place at the venue. I welcome anyone to come and check that out so that they can be aware about the processes that's going to take place. As far as timeline, that will be discussed when appropriate. And when that happens, the residents and the people that's directly affected by the redevelopment process that we're doing, they will know. We also will have media outlets also talking about the different processes as well. Also wanted to let you know that as someone that, like I said, comes from that background, understands the situations that took place especially during the 70s and the 80s. We understand that everybody's not perfect. So we're about the business of building and showing you what's going to take place. So when this starts happening, and if we're not doing something right, we want the public's opinion. We want to be that ear to listen so that we can do the right changes appropriately so that everyone is happy with this project. Now, we also know that we can't make everyone happy. So at the same time, we're going to do our best and just know that there's someone that understands the issues that's going on within the community.
So I'm going to pull out the G word. Yes, because it's something that just seeing direct feedback to the responses to the post about the resources, the receiving of this grant.
Yes.
Gentrification is the first word that comes to top of mind.
Yes.
What do you have to say directly to that? I also have my input on that, but I'd love to hear directly from you. Just how have you personally, but also as a part of the board, worked to address that term?
So, as you know, gentrification is a word that's used quite often when it comes to these type of development projects. I can tell you with confidence that this is not gentrification. This is not gentrification. I don't even know how to put it in even more plainer words. It's not gentrification. This Neighborhood Choice Award that we received has specific guidelines detailed by the federal government, HUD guidelines, that say that once we remodel or demolish a unit, we replace that unit and we put individuals back in that unit that fit under that category. And the people that are there, the people that's been displaced, have first choice on what is taking place with this development. So the people that are currently there, they have first choice in this new development. That includes home ownership, affordable housing. Taxes are not going to rise like people think. And having the knowledge of low-income housing tax credits or LIHTC is very important in this process because that's what keeps the taxes down. That's what helps people like my aunt or my cousin that are homeowners in that area keep their taxes affordable because in some cases, especially in the elderly or senior population, they're not going to be able to afford that. We're not in the business of trying to put people out of their homes. We're in the business to empower people and maybe connect them with services to get their homes redeveloped or rehabbed so that they can have a valuable home or a place to stay. And if, our senior population, that's another thing I want to address. The senior population that lives in these units that we have, we are making the best accommodations possible for them to live a better life. I've said it many times. We do need to take the initiative to help our senior population, and that's what we're doing. And like I said, you'll see, for the people that say, hey, you know, this is not going to work, this is gentrification, you will see in the physical form what's going to take place here in North Omaha.
And I think a huge response to that also is, you know, there are going to be steps along the way that people will be able to participate, right? So like this week is a fine example. Tomorrow at Highlander from 1 to 2:30, and then
Yes.
Thursday from 6 to 7:30, the City of Omaha's planning department will be presenting the consolidated plan. They'll be talking about development and definitely be talking about the Choice Neighborhoods Initiative and the grant received there. So any of your questions, any of the things that you feel like, I really want to make sure this is heard, there's an opportunity literally this week in direct response. So while it's fresh on mind, I highly stress, we'll reshare that post and I'll also put it in the comments. But along this way, you know, this isn't going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, there's still a lot of planning that has to take place.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, what will there be opportunities for people to have input in that planning process?
Yes, it will be. Like I said before, we had meetings before the announcement because we directly went to the residents, the people that are going to be affected by those areas, and we had handouts, pamphlets, community outreach workers, and also meetings at Howard Kennedy, the Martin Luther King Center, the venue. Thank you for your support in this as well, to make sure that people are aware of the processes. We don't want to leave anyone in the dark, but we also know that during these times that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So people get busy and they may not be able to attend certain meetings. So we're trying to work around adjusting the hours and times for people that may have to work during the times that we're having the meetings so that they can attend. We also like to provide refreshments and different things like that so that we can make those accommodations for individuals as well.
Mm-hmm.
Children are also welcome. If you're a parent and you need to bring your children to these events, please feel free to bring your children. They're going to be involved in this process as well. We want to make sure that we address everything that comes with this new development. And like I said before, as one of the commissioners for Omaha Housing Authority, former chair at Early Learning Center at Skinner and Gateway, member of Project Homeless Connect board, I'm very passionate about helping individuals get the right services that's needed for success.
Yeah, yes, I appreciate that very much. And you know, I'm sure there are still a lot of pressing questions. And I stress that coming to tomorrow at Highlander from 1 to 2:30. I know it's during working hours, and they have another event on Thursday from 6 to 7:30. I'll repost that.
Yep.
There'll be an opportunity to really, come be present. It's great to have a discussion online, but to be able to bring it offline and to be able to speak directly to city officials and folks involved with this process is really important. We all want our voices to be heard, and I understand that when we look, we all have a deep sense and connection to this place, and we don't want to see people displaced.
Yes.
And that's the biggest fear. We don't want to see people kicked out. We don't want to see they're just going to buy out properties and suddenly we don't have a community anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a legitimate fear. But Omaha Housing Authority is beholden to HUD regulations as well as the community.
Yes.
And to have folks on the board who are advocating, who are from the community and have been in the very same position as the folks at Spencer Homes,
yes,
is incredibly valuable. Not everyone gets to have a representative who truly represents the community and the voices that are often left out.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm following in my mother's footsteps. She was one of the first resident commissioners here for Douglas County Housing before Omaha Housing Authority split. And if you don't know about the history about the Housing Authority here, Omaha Housing Authority originally was the maintenance side of the housing organization, and Douglas County Housing was the administrative side. Later on, they split, and the great Bob Armstrong, and I do say great because he is a pioneer in regards to the changes and developments that's even taking place here today. he's a pioneer at that. So I want to give a shout out to Mr. Bob Armstrong for allowing this process to develop and take place. History. Like I said, we're doing something unprecedented. This is very important to the well-being of everyone here in North Omaha. And, you know, I can't express enough that I do understand where you're coming from. And, you know, being from the community is, I think, contributed to the valuable information that was needed to address the health disparities, the issues that many of the residents or stakeholders are facing. And I do say stakeholders. I know a lot of people wonder why I say stakeholders. It's because without the stakeholders or the residents, it will be no housing authority. So we're bringing the value of the stakeholders back up to where it's supposed to be. And we're here to make sure that it stays that way. So what we do here in Omaha could take shape across the United States of America. Just like what my mother did when she reformulated with the other 7 women the Section 8 rules and guidelines, which led to the creation of the Portability Act. That was very important, and it also contributes to today's time. A lot of people don't know that that took place right here in Omaha. But that is things that, you know, to be educated on in regards to that. But I'm a direct descendant of that. So, and I also benefited from the Portability Act myself. I was able to purchase a home through the home ownership program. That's important to know. A lot of people don't have confidence in the home ownership program. I'm a living testimony of that happening and working and continuing to work in this moment. So I just want to say to everyone that is watching or will hear my voice that this is not gentrification. This is not gentrification. And the original residents that live in the current spots now will have first choice in renting, job creation, because that's another thing that we haven't touched on, is that at Kennedy Square, there will be opportunities for entrepreneurship for the people that are originally there to become business owners and start and become a much more productive person for their community. That's, like I said, these are unprecedented things that's going to take shape and happen. I know another issue I wanted to touch is the moving of individuals. The expense of individuals moving and not being able to afford that transition. We have accommodated and prepared for that as well. We want to make sure that we don't leave individuals in a hard spot. And so that when their transition happens, they can honestly say, and like I said, we can't make everyone happy, but for the majority, people can honestly say that OHA cared about them. We have liaisons or community workers, outreach workers, to participate in this transition, just to make sure that everything goes right. I mean, like I said, we have elderly individuals, senior population that we have concern for, and then you have the young population. A lot of people forget about the young population. They don't have the understanding of the big picture in most cases. So we want to make sure that we're educating and doing a lot of things out of care, respect, and integrity to make sure things go right. So,
there's a question here. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a program the residences will be offered while this development is taking place that will prepare them for home ownership as opposed to renting?
Yes. Is that from Kara Warner?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, Ms. Warner. I would like to answer that. There will be programs. I'm going to leave that to the city. There's going to be a lot of meetings that's going to take place. They're going to explain these programs and these situational services that's going to empower our residents. So in most cases, the people that live in our units currently, they were placed in our units. They went through a process, and in some cases, they might have had to sign a self-sufficiency contract if they went into home ownership. Well, we want to make sure that individuals are getting the right services. So we want to do an assessment on that. And like I said before, I can't really outline the whole complete details about it, but there is some programs that are designed that's going to empower the residents to become homeowners, become self-sufficient in regards to getting health care services and jobs, trades. Trades is a huge thing that OHA takes highly consideration of. Like I mentioned before, the history of Omaha Housing Authority was about maintenance. Omaha Housing Authority side. Douglas County was the administrative side. So we want to get back to some of the philosophies that made Omaha Housing Authority great at one point.
And so with emphasis on trades, I mean, there's a lot of possibility there. You know, what we're seeing today is that with not as many tradespeople, we don't have as many folks locally who can make repairs to roofing and to gutters and landscaping and home repair. That, you know, there's an opportunity there for a lot of people to get involved with the greater redevelopment of the area. Because, you know, our housing stock, especially in North Omaha, has degraded for a long time, over the last 20 to 30 years, I mean, much longer than that. And what we don't have as much of are young tradespeople who are able to, you know, go into business and be able to be a part of that redevelopment process.
Yeah, and that's the main thing, that one of the reasons why we're doing this, and we're incorporating so many different services so that we can address a lot of the issues that's happening within our community. We have to look at each other in the eye, face to face, and say, we want to be positive and productive. We want to be positive and productive. That means that whatever you say or whatever you think, let that become an action. Let that become your movement to success. So what we did as an organization is that we're trying to booster that. So like I said, the partners with Metro Community College to provide trades, making the opportunity. They have different programs that you can go to school completely for free. And so they're extending that to the residents of OHA so that they can get trades, and so they can eventually may even contribute to the buildup of those units. I think that's going to be highly important. I mean, because then that has self-ownership. You take pride in it. You start to develop a self-worth in regards to saying that, yes, I built that. Just like our ancestors before us, they built the original financial district, which what we call North Omaha. A lot of people don't know that either. The original financial district was North Omaha. We're here to try to reestablish that. And we're taking into consideration the people that are currently in those areas. We're not trying to leave anyone out. Like I said, we can't please everyone, but there will be people that take this and say, yes, this is very valuable to me, and I need this in my life. And we're here to facilitate that and provide that service.
Wonderful. And how are residents taking news of the transition? I know this has been something in process, and how they displayed trust in the process.
You know, so one of the meetings that we had was at Martin Luther King Center. There was a lot of individuals that came from Spencer. There was some doubt. There was some grumbling. And at one point, it seemed that it was going to be some issues in regards to how people would accept the changes that's happening. I can honestly say that after 30 minutes of interacting with the residents, I mean, we had the blackboards out, we had stickers, we had interactive things for the children, we had food and everything. People start feeling comfortable, and they were like, you know, this is going to be something for us. They didn't say this is going to be something good to be in the community. They said this is going to be something good for us. Self-ownership, self-worth. We want to reestablish that within the people. And that's what's happening. And like I said, I'm just glad that I was able to be on the board for the last 3.5 to 4 years to give my input about the things that happened, the things that I've seen. I've went through different things in my life that molded me into the man that I am today, and I'm thankful for it. And it also has been something that other individuals like myself that have went through it. And I thought about what would have made that process more easier for me if I would have had certain things in place. These are the things that we're putting in place for the people of North Omaha. So I'm really proud of this process. I'm really proud of this award. And I hope a lot of people take this and do something very positive and productive with it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Stephen.
Yes.
You know, again, Stephen Abraham with Omaha Housing Authority, the resident commissioner. We're here to really talk about, you know, the Choice Neighborhood Grant, as well as just the Omaha Housing Authority in general. I will say again, tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday at Highlander, there will be 2 meetings with the Omaha City Planning Department talking about the consolidated plan. And we'll get a whole explanation on that, but also just a focus on the action plan of 2019. What does development look like? How are folks doing it? And then how are we informing this process? I think it's really important that, you know, that we show up in places and make our voices heard, because that will directly inform this process, and we can hold our our elected officials and our representatives accountable, and be able to share what we think is important for the future development of our community. It's going to take us stepping beyond our keyboards to really get involved in this process, because a lot of change is coming, and we do need to be prepared, and we have to be willing to step in front of it all and say, hey, this is what, and really learn about the process and learn what it is, and then inform it so that it can ultimately benefit as many people as possible.
And you know, there's one more thing that I wanted to touch base on before we discontinue our interview. And I felt that I needed to speak on this because it's very important. So there's a lot of mention about the work that's going to be done within North Omaha. And if minority contractors are going to be able to get some of this funding.
Yes, that's a major point.
Yes, the city has a rule, there's a law, that after the affirmative action was disbanded, that they did not have, the city they don't have to allocate funding contractors to minority contractors. They don't really have to do that. I've seen this, I wasn't aware of this rule. Maybe some of the state senators that are elected officials, maybe they can address this. I do feel that this needs to be addressed. But as far as independent organizations, and I want to be very clear on this, as far as independent organizations like Omaha Housing Authority, we set the precedents for contractors. And we want to make sure that individuals that have the skills, the necessary resources or the necessary skills to be part of this development, we welcome that. If the people that originally live in the locations, if they have the skills and trades and the knowledge or the resources to help in this process, we welcome that. So I just want to address that right there as far as with contractors, minority contractors, because to be honest, a lot of the times minority contractors get the end of the stick, and they don't deserve that. If they have the necessary resources and the means to do the work, they should be considered. So I want to say that publicly and be held accountable for that as well. So if there's any issues, please feel free to reach out to me.
And to that point, something that I have noticed is that, we do have a lot of minority contractors that wish to be a part of these bids, but may not necessarily have the internal structure to really be able to support the workload of these bids. And I think that there needs to be a really much broader discussion and a deep discussion about how we get the support to our minority contractors and businesses to ensure that they have the structure and support necessary to be able to take on these larger bids. That's bonding authority, being bonded and having that insurance, having the capacity contracts, all those types of things. I think there is definitely just a gap in education for local contractors that may not make them as competitive as, say, as a white-owned business. And so, I mean, that's a further discussion. That's something that Omaha Housing Authority can't necessarily do, but I think that needs to be a huge part of the conversation. You know, they're not just being discounted just because of who they are. They may not also have the resources necessary to be competitive. Yes. So we as a community can get together and have those deeper conversations, and there are lots of resources available that can help fortify that. So just wanted to tack on to the end. But again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We'll reshare this, share it far and wide, please. And I'll also put the dates for the upcoming meetings that are taking place tomorrow, Wednesday, and on Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day, y'all.